Hello, and welcome to this week's Down the Slope. That's the four of us again, same as the last few weeks. Harry, Ryan, Greg, and myself. Liam is hopefully going to be able to join us at some point. However, we'll wait and see on that one. It would take the average looks at the podcast and potentially our football and IQ up a little bit. How we doing, Harry? You were obviously up very briefly. Again.
Oh, mate, and what? There's no many times in life that I get to say I told you so and don't enjoy it. But fuck me, uh, Christ, absolute shite bags. A lot of them. You ken the rules. Hibs are shite. Well, Hibs are beyond that. So God knows how I'm feeling, mate. God knows.
Greg, maybe out with the game. How you doing,
Yeah, don't appreciate the welcome though.
mate?
I work hard to look this bad, and I think I've got a
Thanks a
fairly
lot.
reasonable football IQ. So thanks for
Ryan, you any better?
Oh, I'm angry. I'm angry at what you just said.
I'm angry, Brian. I'm angry.
that. I'm angry.
Get him out, Sharon. Get him out.
Right, so obviously, poor result yesterday in the Derby. Hibs are out of the Scottish Cup, and who have we got this weekend? Oh, Aberdeen in the El Sacchio. Jim Goodman versus Lee Johnson. A very appropriate tweet that was doing the rounds this morning. What we're going to do is same as the last couple of weeks. I think it's just thank you to folk who have done the survey and all that. We appreciate your feedback. But yeah, straight into listener questions. Harry, you have divvied them up in absolutely no particular order. There's 33 different points here. So we're going to bash through some of them quick. We're going to spend some time over various ones. First one, Hibby tweets. Seriously considering watching the Highland Games for the rest of my days after this. Like, I'm sick of that wee Wizard of Oz bastard and these utter imposters who wear the green of Hibernian. Hope yous are all good boys. That can be a quick fire one. What would bring more joy, Greg? Highland Games or going to the Hibs game on Saturday?
I'd rather sit in a dark room and play Kerplunk against myself, to be honest, at the moment.
It's one of them, mate. Like, you do feel yourself probably, Ryan, going out of routine, out of habit, out of almost like nobody forces you to go to football, but it just that's ultimately where we're going right now. I don't think it's going hope over expectation, shall we say.
It's the hope that kills you. And you always think, this might be the week that they turn that around, and it keeps you going. For me, anyway.
Harry, would you prefer to fly up from London for a Highland Games or to watch another 90 minutes of Hibs tomorrow? You know, if you had to do it tomorrow.
I would rather walk up to walk up to Edinburgh from London tomorrow than go and see Hibs play. So I absolutely give me Highland Games every time.
Right, Jeff Ashton, should he stay or should he go? Obviously referring to Lee Johnson. Should we wait for the director of football before doing anything or burn everything to the ground, especially the recruitment team, and start afresh, or are we overreacting? Unpopular view, but keep Lee Johnson until the end of the season, working with the director of football, get Ian Gordon out. It's
I'm sick of Ian Gordon getting the blame every week. It's genuinely not his fault. And this is a point that just really gets to me, and I'm probably boring myself at this point, but he produces a list. The manager says yes or no. The manager sets up the team. The manager should be getting more out of the squad of players. The problems are higher up, I think, than Ian Gordon and his recruitment team.
Do we think that there is merit in the thought process around Lee Johnson staying in his job potentially until the end of the season? Be that new director of football is coming into place, so you'd potentially want the director of football to be involved in any new hire, and also I think a lot of people ultimately think we should be sticking with him because of previous quick firings with Sean Maloney, and you could probably say Jack Ross lost his job quite quickly after what was a pretty successful season round.
Looking back, I suppose with the benefit of hindsight, you would say that Jack Ross's sacking was maybe a bit harsh given the run that Johnson's on and he's managed to keep his job. The thought process behind waiting until we get a director of football, like that might not happen till the summer. So we're just going to continue like this until then. For me, that's not progress. It's not a good outlook. It's nothing to look forward to. So yeah, I can't see the benefit of waiting until the director of football comes in if it's going to be at the end of the season.
see for me, right, and Hannah, do want to get your thoughts on this as well. Driving to the game yesterday, I said to Ryan, I don't see Lee Johnson getting sacked. I don't see and I think at the point I was still almost in the what's the benefit of it camp, but you see the way that we sort of capitulate again yesterday. I know a lot of people have various opinions on how well we did or didn't play, but it just ultimately it's another 3-0 defeat. Whether you're the better team for 45 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes, 3 goals conceded at home to Hearts. I don't see how any manager survives that, Harry, after the exact same scenario, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
The only justification for Lee Johnson keeping his job is we sacked other managers. There is no quality of Lee Johnson that is keeping him in his job. Literally, the only reason he is staying and fans want him to stay is because everybody else, they got the last two wrong. Probably they did sack Jack Ross a bit early, and then with Sean Maloney, that was a gamble, fair enough. But they've got this one so fucking wrong. There's literally no redeeming quality to Lee Johnson. He's nothing. He's not a leader. Tactically, he's inept. Players that he's supposedly put his mark on that he's brought in are being pish. There's literally nothing good about him. Honestly, if your only justification for not sacking a manager is they sacked other managers and were wrong, get them to fuck.
Just for those maybe that are listening and not watching on YouTube, whilst Harry was in the middle of a rant there, we have been joined by Liam. So, there's two excellent things that have happened at once there. Liam, Lee Johnson, Jeff's posed the question around ultimately should he stay until the director of football comes in, for the director of football to then have the opportunity to play a part in the potential hire, and then also spoke about getting Ian Gordon out, etc. Where do you land on the Lee Johnson situation right now?
Here's my take on it. So I think we're all probably nodding away in agreement with the fact that the entire football department is at fault for where we are at the moment. And by the entire football department, I mean everything from recruitment to head coach. The CEO was involved in the appointment of the last two head coaches, the sacking of the manager, and the current structure which we have in place at the football club. That for me, in any good world of corporate structure, means that everybody, including the CEO downwards in the football department, is accountable for our failures. And therefore, I think the buck stops with Ben. I think he needs to go. I think Johnson needs to follow him. And I don't think any of those people should be involved in the recruitment of the director of football, because all that will do is perpetuate the failures that we've already seen within this football club by continuing to allow people free rein to appoint folk when they quite clearly don't know what they're doing.
Liam, if we were to move on the CEO and the manager, not saying the manager would have any influence on the director of football hiring anyway, who would then be responsible? Would you be potentially looking to outsource the hire? Would you be looking to...
The board ultimately make the call. So you bring someone from the board in on the process. The board ultimately make the call, and I know a lot of people will pick holes in that by saying the board are at fault, but the board have ultimately, all they've done is just okayed the structure that the CEO has put in place. The CEO chose to put that structure in place, and it hasn't worked. He told us we didn't need the director of football, said we weren't a big enough football club. He's then put a structure in place where he's a business person making football decisions. That hasn't worked. And the managerial appointment has been an unmitigated disaster. No one can debate otherwise. Lee Johnson has not worked.
I think it might be a little plug of ourselves there. We obviously spoke with Ben Kensell and Ian Gordon start of February last year. So if you take a scroll back, it's not on YouTube, but if you take a scroll back on the podcast platforms, you might hear a lot of things that we have referenced over the last couple of weeks in regards to off-field stuff and recruitment and stuff. So if you haven't listened to it, maybe it's worth your while just to get an understanding of maybe where Liam's frustration's coming from there, in terms of the structure side of things. Next question, Matt Gilchrist. Surely the excuse of we can't be seen as a sacking club isn't enough to keep Lee Johnson in a job any longer. I think we've covered that one off, Matt. But is it time to cut our losses with McGuinness? Sadly, we can't depend on him. Greg, you've always been quite vocal about you can't just get rid of injured players. Do you still sort of stand by that?
Nobody really knows what the injury is. So It's a difficult one because you generally don't know how many times he's going to get injured or how how long he's going to stay fit for. So, look, people were wanting him out and made their mind up, but I do think he adds to the squad. He's maybe not been his best the last couple of weeks, but he definitely adds to the squad, and I think you can't just bin players because they're injured. But it does all depend on how long he is injured for. Like if he's out for the season, then you maybe do need to, but that'd be a judgment call then.
Does anyone have any contradicting thoughts there to Greg? Does anyone maybe want to nail their colours to the wind on mast on it and say he should stay or he should go?
Nope, I'm right. Right, move on.
No, like in a sorry to equate this to non-work context, but if you're the member of staff who was off sick for very legitimate reasons and they were ill, you would manage that sickness, but you wouldn't just rip up their contract because they were off sick from work.
Yeah, it's probably easy to say is cut your losses or move them on, but you know if we don't trust in Kyle McGuinness to stay fit as a club, how are you then moving him on?
Cut what losses? No one's paying money for them.
Well,
we'd be paying up our contract. So what benefit do we get from paying up a contract of
that's what I mean.
a good player went fit? It doesn't make logical sense to me.
If Hibs were to move him on, I would think if I'm fucking Dave Cormack at Aberdeen, I'm going, okay, let's chance our luck, or you know, like someone of that ilk. But I don't see how it happens. Right, we've got a question from last week here. Sibo Slice obviously done our graphics and stuff. What do we call it? Logo. Done our logo. I was really struggling there for what that was. Right, we bit of a change of pace here. If we were to rebuild the squad from scratch, who would be the 5 players we must keep excluding Nisbet? Ryan, who would be 5 players? So Nisbet plus 5 others that we would need to build around if we had a blank canvas and we're building a squad.
I'm struggling to get 5, like. Everybody fully fit all the time. I would say Carden. McGuinness would hopefully be one that could be good enough on his day. Boyle, Kukarevich, if he's a permanent purchase. Out with that, I'm really struggling. We've got players in there that are starting every week, but they've shown that they're not good enough to be starters to go and win games of football. And that's the problem, ultimately, at the minute. We were playing 11 guys on the pitch that aren't good enough to compete with the other teams that we're playing against.
Well, David Marshall, is that of the age, if you were starting a squad from a blank canvas, would you be viewing him as someone that you wanted in there, especially with his recent form, Liam?
No, not based on recent form. Based on his qualities as a professional, yes, but not based on his recent form.
Yeah,
they're two different people to me almost.
Greg, can you list 5 players plus Nisbet that you would think, yeah, they're players I want?
You won't even name one.
No. I think, look, do you know what? I think Carden gets a lot of shit. I know that. We've had our own World War III in the chat about that a couple of times. Jake Doyle Hayes, when the manager's not smashing him in training. I think there's a player in there as well, but I don't know.
I think
Campbell possibly, but then you're really settling for effort, and above all else, you know, effort is very good, but bare minimum. So I think to name 5, I'd be struggling Albion.
It feels like we've got an abundance of players that you'd go, keep them for the bench. Like, you know, like, and Liam, you obviously gave it. Who I can't remember. It was Liam or Harry in the chat today talking about, do we have a better squad than everyone else out of sort of, if you were to below Hearts, Aberdeen, Celtic, Rangers. And so how do we look at a few team squads? And I think individually they do have players maybe that are better than ours, but then there's just quite a drop off. It feels like we have quite a level of average. I don't think there's too many absolutely horrendous players in our squad. There is. No, but I don't think there's... But then there's probably not so many either at the other end. Right, next question. John,
we're very middle of the road.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Bag average, if that.
We're very much...
To name one, I'd probably say Boyle, because Boyle and Nisbet are pretty much the team. Maybe McGeady as well, but obviously he's getting on a bit. However, his performances have been pretty good, but pretty good compared to the rest of the shite.
So if we want to go with 5, let's try to get a consensus. So
Murray Johnson, Oscar McIntyre, Ethan Laidlaw,
Ethan Laidlaw,
Murray Aiken, and Jacob Blaney.
they do need to start being involved more. I was excluding that, Specky. Just you go back to said your work email.
That was tongue in cheek because I ridicule people for saying play them, but I'm at the stage now where I'm ready just to play them. There can't be any worse than that lot out there.
Right. We've been recording for a while and we're on question 5, Liam, you're with this of
we're allowed discussion, you.
Right, John McIntosh. No, sorry, we just done John's. Tatty 1875 might just be me and he's not the biggest problem, but by far, but Marshall of late has been very poor. One-on-one, he's very, very poor. Decision making is off at times. Not saying he's at fault, but he needs to step up his game. Do you know, I'm just maybe going to... I think I mentioned this.
Dreadful. Let's get it right. Dreadful.
It's funny, and I don't want to spark the World War III that we've had at points with Chris Cadden, but you know, Cadden and Marshall, they are 2 players potentially that regardless of form, they're going to play, aren't they? You know, like regardless of what they do, they're playing, and we've seen it over the years that probably can have a negative impact on the team, Harry.
Well, we know our CEO's thoughts on Lewis Miller, so Cadden's going to play because our CEO's spoken out about Lewis Miller.
All he does is run his mouth constantly, and I'm getting really sick of it now. All he does is run his mouth before the games, and he does this and he does that, and he says this and that. How about he keeps it quiet and does his job? Or how about he does the opposite of his job? Because that would probably be more beneficial for the football club.
Right, Ryan, question 7. One of your back row of the East Stand friends, Lero's, simply, what the fuck?
What the fuck, Lee? What the fuck is right?
Question 8, Luke Cunningham. Where do we go from here? What do we have to look forward to as fans, or do we have to write this season off already? I don't think you write the season off, but I'm struggling to think of what you've got to look forward to. Ryan, seeing as you never really got much to go on there, anything to look forward to that's obvious?
No, not unless there's a massive turnaround in form and there's a push to get into a European place. But typically, and I think we discussed in the car, the amount of trips we've had to Hampden over the last 10, 12 years is something that we've all looked forward to every season. And we don't have that now. We've got nothing to look forward to.
I think this is only the 3rd season since the 2012 Cup final that we won't have been to Hampden. Others being the year we went down and Lennon/Hecky season. Greg, is there maybe the one obvious thing to look forward to with the club coming up in the next week or so with the youth team's Champions League game against Dortmund?
That's about it. But how is that team going to play at the weekend after that?
I know.
It's really sad that our manager decides to moan about the League Cup group stages. Can't even get anywhere in that. The performance yesterday was, let's be honest, poor. You can say you're the better team, but ultimately, if you score 0 goals and don't defend well enough, then you get what you deserve. So there's absolutely nothing to look forward to at all.
I just want to chime in on this because I tweeted about it and I've got people saying that I'm an absolute idiot for saying that the season's over. But we've got a manager who has alienated the squad by saying that they're not good enough to play for Hibs. He's not named specific names, but he's made sweeping statements about how he's got nothing to play with. The last few weeks, he's had more than the capabilities of changing up systems or formations or style of play. He's refused to do it. He's refused to change personnel to try and make a statement of saying the squad I've got is not good enough. So when he does inevitably get sacked or walk away, he's going to say, oh, the whole time I said the team's not good enough. This squad, as we touched on slightly earlier, is no worse than 5th best in Scotland. There is not more than 4 teams in this league that have got a better squad than us man for man. Maybe positionally at different, maybe they've got better midfield or defences, whatever. But as overall teams, Lee Johnson has got minimum the 5th best team in Scotland, and we are looking shite.
So could you argue he's only underperforming by 1 position then?
But we're not going to underperform by 1 position because nobody wants to play for him. Why would you want to play for a guy that says that you're shit?
No, I know, mate. I know. I'm just.
Obviously, without revealing sources or whatever, we hear things about how the squad takes time and what goes on. He's got the squad have obviously got zero faith in him, so why would you bother? And I get you can play for your personal pride and whatever, but seeming your manager doesn't even go into the change room after a 3-0 defeat for the second time in a month. What you meant to expect? You're really going to say, "Oh, I really want to play for this guy. He's brave." Nah, you're going to say he's a shite bag. So what's the point?
Aye. Right, Mikey Love, can you believe the decline in the last 18 months? Third in the league, cup final and a semi-final, albeit that we failed to capitalise on. Now with 3.5 horrific, I think I'll say terrific, transfer windows later and 4 wins in 14 and having failed to get top 6 last year. It does feel like it roots back to that very first transfer window that got pinned on Graham Maffey, didn't it? We needed a couple quality additions to improve the squad, and we signed James Scott and Nathan Wood.
Our CEO started intervening in football matters and started identifying signing players such as Nathan Wood. It was a masterstroke.
Is it? Do you think we're in the wrong to say, like, that is? It's more than a coincidence, isn't it? And this is the structure did change. A new CEO came in, took over from someone that probably all of us have actually been fairly critical as well in Liam Dempster. However, you can't really argue that the club had recruitment pretty much spot on. Liam always goes on about a sort of 50% success rate. If you can be there or thereabouts, you're going to do well. And I would say that we've done that. A change of structure at the top has then since just led to a total decline on Park. And you could argue that we're probably worse off now than we are even this time last January. Aye.
I'll speak for him. Or is he speaking?
I think you're just going.
That was just my answer. Yeah, we're worse off than we were last January because the man in charge.
Take it away, Liam.
Oh no, we're unquestionably worse. Like we've got to the League Cup. We got to the League Cup final last season, and we were still in the cup. We're out both cups. I know we're 6th place in the league by proxy. But
we might be above that at this point last year.
We are 6th place in the league, but you'd have to look at the form table and suggest that if the form continues, we will not be 6th place in the league come the split. Will not be that high.
No, I mean realistically, you'd think Dundee United have started to pick up a little bit of momentum, albeit obviously conceded the last minute goal as St Mirren are behind us, which actually really surprised me. Because I don't know if they've maybe just fell off a little bit, but St Mirren have felt like they've been having a pretty good season. But the worrying thing for me is, like, you're not catching Hearts. That's not happening. They've got a game in hand. They're 11 points ahead of you already. In fact, no, sorry, they played their game in hand. I apologise, but even Livingston, there's 4 points in there and they've got a game in hand. It's starting to become a bit of a worry. Greg, what's your thoughts on that sort of the structure in the last 18 months and all that?
Obviously, I have been guilty in the past of being very overcritical at times, and
you're going to continue this.
Maybe pinning the blame on people, but then you actually realise that the people weren't as bad as the new people, aka
that isn't always greener.
aka Graham Maffey, possibly Jack Ross.
That's painful.
I'm not saying that. No, but I'm not saying that we shouldn't have sacked Jack Ross because the form was really bad, and we were going absolutely nowhere, and it was really grim. But the man in charge of finding a replacement has made an absolute arse of it. I don't think we were this bad under Sean Maloney, if I'm honest. We've probably gone backwards from Sean Maloney, to be quite fair. Neither were great, though. That shows where we are at the moment. It's like 2 shades of shite, really.
I feel like if the if you were to put Johnson Hibs versus Maloney Hibs, I feel like defensively
Be
Maloney
0-0
a lot better.
It would be 0-0.
because Maloney Hibs didn't score and didn't really concede though. So
Johnson
it would
Hibs
just be 0-0.
seem
Johnson
capable of
Hibs,
scoring, but
don't know. Who knows? But I mean,
Hey.
it's really bad.
about 30 minutes in, we're finally hitting double figures. We're almost a third of the way through these, but to be fair, there's going to start being a lot of repeats. Dave Graham, explain a manager making one sub in a derby, and then I could hear Dave saying these next 3 words. He's a lunatic. And anyone that spent any time with Dave can hear Dave saying that. I mean, obviously,
It's also Dave's facial expressions when he says he's a lunatic.
He's a lunatic. He's right, by the way. Look, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
there was 3
this
subs
is a
made,
manager. This is a manager that has had a lot of games under his belt. A lot of games. He's been a manager for a long time. Rightly or wrongly, he's been a manager for a long time, and he cannot make basic substitutions.
I think
I honestly feel like at the moment he just does it to spite himself. There's no other reasoning to not make a substitution.
I do think he had McCurdy stripped before the goal went in, and he had the opportunity to bring him on. And I'm not saying that he should have brought, if you bring McCurdy on, it doesn't stop that goal. He plays no part in that. However, it takes away one stick to bash him with, but to then not make another change until the 92nd minute, and one of them enforced with Hanlon obviously having to come on for a Rocky, and the Henderson one just fucked me off. It actually just annoyed me. I was halfway down the stairs anyway, and then just seeing who was coming on, I was like, why? Like, what was the point?
So honestly, it just baffles me that a manager cannot make a substitution to try and affect a game of football. He does it when, like, the horse is 3 miles away and he just decides to close the stable door. What is the point?
Right, you went to say
Oh, you were right.
I was just going to say, I think he'd have been more than happy to sit there the whole game without making subs. Obviously, Jago was kind of an enforced sub with him being booked, the possibility of him being sent off. I think he looked more than happy, and all the coaches and the subs were all happy sitting in the dugout watching the game. They'd have been more than happy to continue with the same 11 for 90 minutes.
It screams to me of that really petulant thing that managers start doing when they're under pressure, where they stop making subs because they want to point the finger at someone else. So he's suggesting he's not got players that are good enough to come on. That screams to me of something he's doing. But we've seen it already. He uses petulant tactics like that. He's done it already post game after a number of games. He's guilty of, quite frankly, just not being a responsible
adult
leader. No, he's not. He's just not. He's just not a leader. There's nothing about him. No one can convince me otherwise. If he walked into any industry tomorrow, other than his dad's achievements in football, he would literally get laughed out of most organisations because he's not a leader. There's nothing about him that screams leadership to me.
Well,
and how you've got no leadership qualities
in the league.
500 games in football, and what has he learned in that time?
So the
Bristol City.
Wait, so can I just chime in on subs?
Hold up. So the next question was for Mason about subs as well, but he just added a little bit on there as well. And Harry, I was going to come to you here anyway. So, 1 sub with McCurdy, 2 last-minute subs when the game's done. We were chasing the goal. Should have made 2 or 3 subs between the 55th and 65th minute and mounting the pressure on them. And also, Harry, you've taken a little bit of pelters on Twitter by suggesting that we should have been making subs. Should we be making the subs in that time period, and obviously more than the one?
Look, so one thing that's been annoying me, and I've been having arguments about it with people, is I think the best time to bring an attacking player on is when you're all over your opponent. Like, I think bringing McCurdy on when we're pinned back in defence isn't going to do him any good. I think bringing McCurdy on when we're getting in and around the box for 10 to 15 minutes at a time, that'd be the best time to bring him on. Like, I think positively putting players in positions in which they're going to get the ball in advanced positions makes more sense than putting them on when we're pinned back. Like for me, I think the perfect time to make the sub would have been at about 55 minutes when we're attacking them and we're actually on top of the game, as opposed to 65 minutes where they've got the foothold again.
Were we pinned back?
Nah, we weren't pinned back at all.
I don't think
Nah,
we
we
were
weren't
pinned
pinned back
back.
at any stage of the game.
I'm just
not at any stage of the game.
Not yesterday, but just in general. Like I'm talking about making subs, because some people are like, oh, when you're on top of a game, you shouldn't make subs. I think when you're on top of a game is the perfect time to make subs, because that's when the player can make a positive impact. But yesterday, the thing is for me, even though it's at youth level, nobody on that pitch yesterday, if it came up, apart from probably Shankland, has got a better nose for finding the back of the net than Ethan Laidlaw. I don't understand why you wouldn't bring him on. Like, the thing is, look at Ollie Shaw against Celtic at Hampden. Nobody thinks a youngster like that should be thrown on. He went on, tried his heart out, and he got himself 2 goals. I'm not saying Laidlaw would have scored yesterday, but he would have put so much more effort in than the players that were on the park. And on the left side of the pitch as well, why not put McIntyre on there? Like, I get he's young, but he's going to bomb up and down the pitch, and he'll put a better fucking cross in than Chabraya or Stevenson. Saying that he's got no options there, like, any player has got a different skill set to another player. Just put them on the pitch. Like, he can make 5 subs these days. Do anything.
Another stick to beat him with. Another stick to beat him with, because there's plenty of sticks to right now, is he when he came into the job, he talked about how he'd done such a good job of giving youngsters a chance at all the previous football clubs. He kept on talking about the boy Dan Neil that he played at Sunderland, and how he'd got him into the team, and now he's a star for them, etc., etc. And he cited many players that he'd done that at Bristol City with as well.
Yeah,
who's he played into the team this season? He's just played all the guys that were already there before under Jack Ross, and played all the crap that he signed.
He's not made anyone better.
No, he's made a few players worse. Maybe Josh Campbell.
Fair actually. So the thing for me with the changes, right? I've just had a wee look there. For me, I thought at the second half we were well on top. Just targeting Cochrane on his booking. Johan had him on toast for a period of time. Cochrane got hooked on the 65th minute, according to Sky Sports here, and I did. And for me, from there, we looked quite toothless again. We then didn't make a sub for this till the 73rd minute. So, whilst I don't think Hearts had us pinned back, I do agree in the extent with what Harry's saying, that they had started to get a foothold in the game again. And when you look at the subs that Nielsen made, I think they all impacted the game positively for them, but also they did have options on the bench that Hibs just simply don't at this point. So, Greg, again, you've seen probably the youth team more than any of us. Should we be bringing the youth players on in that situation at 1-0, 2-0 or 3-0 at any stage?
Give them the opportunity going to affect the game. Give them something. Because I tell you what, they're certainly not getting out the senior players. So why not go to the youth players and say, look, go and try and affect the game, or go and try and do something, Get the fans excited, get them off their seat. The fans want to see the youngsters come on. You can see that, you can feel that. But I don't understand why he doesn't just do it. See it 2-0, what have you actually got to lose? Who gives a shit if you lose 2-0 or 5-0? You get beat anyway. Why not go out there and try and attack them and get the young boys on the ball and have a go? But, he says, let's chop the 3rd goal off because you can't really count that. But, well, it does, because it finished 3-0 Lee. You know what I mean? Like,
it counts.
I just don't. The substitutions at the start of the season were maybe a little bit too proactive. He was doing it after 26 minutes and whatever. Now he does it doesn't basically before the ref blows the full-time whistle, 2 minutes to go or whatever. I don't understand him.
It's interesting how the squad was good enough when they were winning late.
Oh, well, he says, judge me after, what is it?
10 to 12 games.
12 games, I think we won.
We were sitting pretty at that point. That was it.
But he's signed them. So what is he saying? He's not good enough, saying he should go. Is he saying that he should be sacked then because he's saying the players aren't good enough, but he's signed them? 15, 16 players he signed this summer. He says they're not good enough. So.
Right, we're going to go for a little bit of change of pace here. Jack Gaper, first goal, Porto at fault. Porto at fault. Woeful defending, put us under pressure from nowhere. Second goal, Johan Feld, thought VAR was supposed to check build up to all goals. Third goal, if Rocky not injured, don't think they score. bad refereeing, hit the post twice, unlucky yesterday.
Right, can we just get one thing right? I don't care how many times we're at the post. It doesn't matter. If you don't hit the back of the net, you don't win. The first goal, defend it properly. The second goal, be stronger. That's pathetic. How easy he gets brushed off the ball there. And then you look at Cadden and Campbell, two, but I would say pretty experienced players at this level. Can't defend. Third goal, God knows, it was like the Alamo we got caught. But fundamentals and basics that we don't do right. That's what it is.
Do you think a neutral that maybe hasn't seen Hibs play this year, Liam, could say, oh no, Hibs maybe did play well yesterday, and maybe they were the better team, but we've seen us be the better team against St Johnstone for 60, 70 minutes, lose the game. We've seen this story a lot already this season. So how can you even put it down to luck?
I think to give us a minimal amount of credit, I don't think you can really accuse us of a lack of effort yesterday. I thought the effort was there yesterday. We just weren't good enough in either box. We weren't good enough in either box. I thought in some respects it was a wee bit like the Hampden game against them last season. The effort was there. We probably had more possession. Probably were in there half more often than they were in ours. But when it came to the crunch, we didn't have the quality in either box. Our defending was sloppy, and the final ball and the final third of the final finish just wasn't there. That was the difference between the two sides. But I have no issue with the effort yesterday, but I have a massive issue with the quality, and there's a real gap in quality.
Ryan, Harry, you got any further thought process on whether Hibs were unlucky or got what they deserved yesterday?
I think the way Hearts played, they scored their goal, and there was multiple times in the first half, especially where they had 10 men behind the ball because they knew for a fact that Hibs couldn't score. The reason in a lot of the games that we are getting a lot of the ball and a lot of chances is teams let us because they know that we're not going to do anything to them. Fair enough, we've hit the post and we've been unlucky, but is it unlucky if it keeps happening? You could say this game played out relatively similar to the way the game played out at Tynecastle. Hearts weren't all over us there. We got chances there. We're not taking chances because we're shit.
Being ourselves.
Exactly. Teams don't feed us because we've got nothing. There's nothing scary about Hibs at the moment, especially going forward. And then I just don't understand how we've not got any centre backs. Again, we've got injuries in that, but honestly, the defending from crosses year on year on year is shit.
The first goal really, really infuriates me because Hibs for the last, month, probably since at least after the World Cup, maybe even before, we're bringing everyone back for set pieces. Everyone. The only player that wasn't in and around our box was a Fine Yuan who was in the wall, and still Ginelli has 5, 6, 7 yards of space to get a uncontested volley in the middle of the box. It's just as Greg would say, it's amateur stuff, innit? It's poor. Schoolboy.
Don't do the fundamentals right, you won't win games of football. So
Ryan, Hibs unlucky or not unlucky?
Listen, there's a lot of emphasis that people put on stats now. There's only one stat in football that matters at the end of the day. Goals. Don't score goals, don't win games. So there's a lot of people saying that the performance was there. If they think that, where's it been?
Michael, Hibs hardly ever win when they don't score goals.
No, they never. So if they're saying they played well yesterday,
how many cliches?
I'm trying my best to get them all in.
Is that Mike Bassett on the call? I didn't think Mike Bassett had joined.
They're up front next week, man.
What I fucking do?
No, look.
Listen, see if the performance was there. Where was it last week against Dundee United? Or where was it against Ross County at home? There's far too many inconsistencies in it. And if people are happy enough with that performance and still get scudded 3-0, that says a lot more about us than it does about Hearts. And for Johnson to say we're not far off them, yeah, we probably play, in some people's opinion, the best we've played this season and still get scudded, it's just nowhere near good enough.
Yeah.
The first goal, might have been a stupid free kick, but there's still a lot to defend between the free kick being awarded and the goal. The second one might have been a foul, but again, Karen can do better. He just needs to run side by side. The third goal, make no mistake about this, is born out of a cross, not beating the first man. is it absolutely our own fault?
Yeah, I agree. I agree entirely. Right, next question. Craig Robertson. Let's do these in sort of one word answers. We can't do one word answer on it, but short and snappy. Greg, who would you have as the next manager if Lee Johnson is sacked?
Don't even ask him. You know the answer.
Roy Keane. It's
Fuck's
embarrassing
sake.
that the people in charge of this football club didn't even go back to his representatives when he inquired about the job.
Yeah,
I'd hate to have a winner at the football club as well.
yeah. As far as we're aware, there was interest there from one side. Harry, next manager if Lee Johnson does move on. Anyone that comes to mind? Ryan.
I would have said the same, but I'll be different. Michael O'Neill.
You're just taking the Northern Ireland or the Ireland job.
I did, aye.
Oh, well, fuck him. Stephen Bradley.
Go on.
You know, just go love it.
No.
Hey!
Oh, grow up, Ewan.
I'd be fucking delighted if Roy Keane came in. I really would. As much as that might pay me to
He
say.
certainly wouldn't shirk going in the changing room after a derby defeat. That's for sure.
Right.
The players might, but he wouldn't.
Can I say Chettle Nutson before we move on?
Yeah.
Get the campaign back on, baby. Chettle Nutson, and if he won't take it, then Chris Hughton.
Still unemployed, isn't he? Liam, I know you've got to go soon, so second half of Craig's question. Thoughts on James Jeggo and the performance of the team yesterday? We spoke about the team enough, so James Jeggo.
I didn't see anything that concerned me. I didn't see anything that I was particularly excited by. It was a 5.5 out of 10.
Can I ask you, does everyone else have the same opinion as Liam? Because I don't.
I'm not.
Are you worried?
After
whilst I'm not thinking, oh, he's shite after one game, right? I'm not. But I don't think he looks overly mobile. Now, I believe he played on Tuesday in Belgium, so he should be fit. So, he should be pretty much there. I don't think he looks entirely mobile. I've seen some people say that the booking that he got was good and that's what he should do. No, in that position, no for me. I think he just
5 or 6 men behind the ball there.
I just don't think he fancies running with Mackay, and I didn't see anything in his absolute caveat. His debut, I didn't see him do anything yesterday that Noah Kenna hasn't done in any of his games for Hibs. Albeit he's not exactly flavoured of the month today.
Listen, regarding the booking, there's 5 or 6 men behind the ball there. He's about 5 yards inside the half. It is a lazy fill, and that forces a substitution because he was probably at that point a player you would be happy to keep on the pitch. When
you know what it is? So. Can I just address this point? It's something we've seen all season. It's a real lack of desire to track your man and challenge him and be physical and be aggressive with him. You just want to take him down because he genuinely did not fancy the battle.
I just don't, and do you know what, right? I see if he just doesn't think he can live with it. He doesn't think he can run him.
Pass him on. Don't just take him out.
Aye,
and let him run.
I'm all for, and I think we all are, midfielders stopping counter attacks, but I thought Hibs were in a decent enough defensive shape there that he didn't have to do it. And especially at it was a time in the game where the ref was always booking you for that. Always. The ref had started to lose control of the game, I felt like, for a little period there. I think Mackay got a booking right after it, and then Cochrane got booked, I think, for something right after it as well. The ref was getting fouls left, right, and centre. I just wasn't. I'm not writing them off.
People moan about Joe Newell giving away bookings and he's the worst for it, but really, Joe Newell gives away stupid bookings most weeks, so what's the difference between that and James Jeggo with a good bit of play, apparently?
I just
tell him laziness.
Right.
That's what it is. It's lazy.
I'm absolutely not writing them off, and I think we would all be in agreement there, but I think there was a little bit of lack of cohesion in there as well. Obviously, him and Stevenson, neither of them have really played in there. Obviously, Jeggo first game, Stevenson's not played in there all year. There was a few moments, just lack of cohesion, and hopefully it improves. The more
he'll settle.
No,
He
gets
will
a
settle, but I think there will be limitations to this game. But hopefully he'll settle into the role. He doesn't need to be able to spray 60-yard passes in that position, but we do need him to be able to break up play and kind of stay away from the stupid fouls and pick up bookings that are going to force substitutions early in games.
Yeah, right. Either or, no context. Scott Junior, who's a better organizer, Rishi Sunak or Lee Johnson?
Oh shit, I'm out.
I'm still. I'll give Johnson the nudge. Just
Both as bad as each other.
no one
Because
answer.
he's not a Tory.
One or the other really might be, but who knows?
Neither.
Neither. Harry.
Nah, I refuse to answer
Right. Thomas, 15th question. We're like almost halfway there. Right. One player from Neil Lennon's 2017-2018 team into this team, who would it be? What I'm going to say is I want you to pick them based on form of that season and that season alone, not what they've done previously or after in their career. For me, it's Effie Ambrose, comfortably.
that.
So Harry's Effie Ambrose as well.
Scott Allen.
Scott 2017, 2018, Scott Allen unlocked defences easily.
And scored goals. They had it all.
Ryan?
Aye, I'll go with Greg. That's what we're lacking right now.
I
Totally
didn't play
lacking
that season.
You should have played through though, I
Two
tell
for
you.
Effie Ambrose. Right. Elston Loon. I've spoken to a few Jambos today. They're all of the view we were the better team by a good bit, but they still gubbed us. The same has been true in previous matches. So is it that we're very unlucky and it'll click soon, or is it that we're as shit as we're making out to be? Look, I think we've made our thoughts clear on that. I think we're past the stage of. I was having a discussion last night with someone that was of the opinion that, you know, Hibs are maybe 6 to 10 points worse off than our performances deserve to be. I don't think when you're in just you're beyond halfway through a season, you can say we're unlucky. That's where I'm at with it. And I think when you see something repeat itself on multiple occasions, I don't think that's luck as far as I'm concerned. But I do think we've all voiced our opinions on that one. If you are happy to move on.
Yeah, move on.
Move on.
AKA Rab, my favourite bit of the game was the applause for Stan Matthews. He was our local Bobby on the beat, and the guy was a legend. He knew everyone and treated folk with respect. Would often turn a blind eye to our underage drinking as long as we looked after the area. Top bloke. Yeah, it was a really good minute's applause. Greg, I might be wrong here, but I think his son used to work with us.
I have no idea who's his son.
I can't even remember. I can't mind his name, mate. I cannot mind his name. I think it might have been Daniel. But I think he did used to work with us in customer services for a period of time. But no, it was really good. It was really good to see.
It was good to see it was respected from both sides.
Yeah. And obviously you wouldn't wish that on anyone going to football and then that being it. Jack Kelly, if you could only sign a player in one position to start, who would it be? Not a player, but positions. Mine would be centre back after today. It was left back after Rocky's injury looked terrific. So I think we need another one. And one has to go. Oh, right. Okay, so we've got another one. Right. So the Hibs related question first. Are we all in agreement that centre back is now the number one priority? Probably two.
Has been for years.
Number one priority.
Number two priority. Jackson left.
No, it's we need two centre halves. There's two positions.
Yeah.
When you have a starting 11, we need starting centre backs for both of them.
Aye. I mean, at the end of the day, right, regardless of what you think about Hanlon, he's no fit. Right now, we've got Will Fish for centre back. Well, and Pochis, obviously. Pochis is still here, but
Aaron McGregor.
Aye. Right, and the second question that Jack Kelly's asked, one has to go. KFC, Burger King, McDonald's, or Subway? He's getting out of Subway.
Lee Johnson.
Get him out, Sharon.
Get him out, Sharon.
Get him out, Sharon.
So you have to get rid of one.
You have to get rid of one of KFC, Burger King, McDonald's, Subway. Right, Greg, it can't be Burger King. Long live.
Me and Ando loved that, and then we got everyone else involved, and then the Burger King left together, and it was a bit sad.
I used to go when I was at college doing fucking coaching and development of sport, and on a Tuesday, I think it was, we go to the Burger King and Buchanan Galleries and get a bacon double cheese XL meal, supersized, and then go back to college and take a coaching course in the afternoon. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Every week without fail, everyone in the class. I am getting rid of KFC.
I'm going to bin Subway because I can make a sandwich at home, man.
To be fair, I don't really like KFC or Subway, but I feel like Subway is a non-entity.
I quite like Subway though, because like, what if
It's because you're a child?
No, but if you didn't want something that's entirely greasy like that, you know, like when I still worked with you, I found myself wandering over to Subway for lunch a couple of times.
Can I go to a deli for a sandwich? Get some fucking non-processed shit on it.
Right, Tory boy. I'd maybe actually say, I'd probably say Baguette Express.
Baguette
Express, to be fair.
Are they still on the go?
There's one in the go. One in the go.
I feel bad because it's unpopular with you guys, but I'd get rid of the Burger King just because I don't really have any affinity for it.
Burger King chips are up there with the best.
So we all
Burger King chips, by the way.
Right, so
we just bin Subway and be done with it.
Right.
Aye.
We'll do that. Fuck it.
Aye, fuck it. Ignore what I said.
Correct. We usually do anyway.
Jamie Govern, 2 questions. At which point do we bring in the young team? I agree. Yesterday wasn't the match to throw them in, but surely the point is coming.
No.
I
would have said about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Start bringing them off the bench for the last 10, 15 minutes.
It's been a long time coming, to be fair, but now I feel like we do need to actually bring them in.
Yeah. Jamie, look, just your second part of your question, I think we've actually covered it a lot in detail already. It was just around if Johnson goes, should Kensell go as well? With that being 2 unsuccessful hires on the spin. So yeah, no, totally agree there. David, St Johnstone misjudged the league. Sorry. Fuck off. So Johnson, no St Johnstone. So Johnstone misjudged the league and brought in a load of draws thinking they would be good enough. Should he be allowed a second chance to get it right?
No.
David, I think we've all made our points clear on that one. Rachel.
Just like Ben Kensell shouldn't be given a third opportunity to hire a manager. Say no to Kensell Culture.
Rachel, a lot of people saying we played well yesterday and agreed. But if that is us playing well, losing 3-0 to rivals, how can the situation be managed? Is it not more worrying we played well and got pumped rather than playing bad? Sums up for me, if that and I think, do you know what, right? See, if you take all emotion out of it, Hibs probably did play all right yesterday. If you take every bit of it out of it, but shite defending and
listen, I mentioned it before, but
right, Ian Castro, if they didn't have goalposts, we would have won.
No, that's what I'm saying. Shite final ball, shite defending, but
But then you don't play well, really, do you?
That's
you
my
can't
opinion.
defend the basics and the fundamentals. And you've not played well, really. So let's get it right.
So we're saying,
is it because we had possession?
So we're saying that is more worrying then.
This is what I said earlier. If that's us playing our best and we're still taking an absolute scalping, man, how far off are we?
Aye.
But Lee Johnson says we're not that far off it, but another week he was going about mediocrity.
See another thing, post-match interview. Why is he mentioning international caps and stuff like that? It bears absolutely no relevance.
Wait, he started talking about LAU. He went, we've got loads of international caps. Aidan McGeady's got, 90-odd for Ireland, fair enough. David Marshall, plenty for Scotland. Then he went, Kevin Nisbet has a couple of caps. Right, Poachers has one. And then he went, LAU and played for France youth system.
And you go, guys.
Jalen, international caps mean absolutely nothing.
Right.
Absolutely
you
nothing.
You can bring somebody in from
How many has he got then? Absolutely 0. So he can pack it in right now.
Harry, you're just nodding along there, aye? And here's why my confusion came in. JPJ White. St Johnstone never sacked managers. They've been more successful than us over the last 10 years. I don't know. Yes, they have been. And they don't sack managers. I don't know.
That's what we went doing last year.
I don't know what. But then, obviously, they stuck with Davidson. They stayed up.
Look, I don't want to diminish what Davidson done that season is remarkable. It's one of the best feats, in my opinion, in Scottish football ever. However, he had an absolute golden squad, and that team was fantastic with the players that he had at his disposal, especially for the league at the current state that it was. But he has done a woeful job in attempting to replace them, and now St Johnstone look like relegation fodder.
Not this year, they don't. They don't. I disagree this year.
I think they look shocking. Every time they play Hibs, they
disagree.
look pish. Well, 2 times they played Hibs, they look
I
pish.
disagree. I think St Johnstone are going to be comfortable this season.
I don't know.
I think St Johnstone are probably
bad.
right back to where they were under Tommy Wright. Potentially top
I
6.
disagree. I think St Johnstone look shite. St Johnstone will be.
And who have they got, Ewan? Who have they got? They've signed Dre Wright, Jay Murphy, Ryan McGowan.
But that's for me.
Right.
That tells you the difference between the managers.
And they're above us in the league.
They're below. They're the same points, just below us. But no,
Well,
I agree with you, Ewan, that maybe he's getting more out as well. In fact, he is getting more out of the players he's got there, with the limitations as to what Johnson's getting with players that
3
some of
points.
them actually have quality.
what are they?
3 points behind us.
Okay.
I think they're shite.
Well, I mean, really, we should be miles ahead of our squad of
Yeah,
a
no,
team that
ultimately,
took 2 of our
Johnson
rejects last season.
but again, though, right? For me, that's
But then their manager is
Yeah.
able to get the best out of them, I'd say. Our manager gets nothing out of us, ultimately. So no matter what way you dress up, it comes back to the manager.
I think, like, and Harry, I didn't mean to sort of like downplay what you're saying.
No, you're grand.
St
Join
Johnstone,
like fire.
St Johnstone play shite football. They do, but I
They
do
play it
think
well.
exactly. And you know, the Hibs. I've heard a lot of Hibs fans, read Hibs fans saying how Hearts just play shite football and that, or St Johnstone play shite football. I don't think Hearts play shite football. I think in years gone by they did, but you can't be a long ball hoof it team with like Janelli, Mackay, and Shankland as your front three and be effective. You know, that's just
Do you know
no work. Like,
Do you know what St Johnstone do well? They play to their limitations, but they know what their limitations are. Whereas we don't play to anything, but they know their limitations and are able to produce a performance within that.
I think Hibs are so torn. The reason I mentioned Hearts there is I think Hibs, and we're somewhere right in between St Johnstone and Hearts. We don't know whether we want to try and play really good football on the front foot or whether we need to sit in and right now you would look at that Hibs team and go, they're not capable of playing. We're not capable of putting 5 goals past anyone. Albeit we've done 4 past Levy. And, but we're not capable. I don't think we're capable of grinding out a 1-0 either. Like, we're, do you know, like a proper backs to the wall, like going away from home and scoring a scrappy goal and defending for 85 minutes. Like, I didn't see that in this team either. So, like, I don't know what this Hibs team is.
We're not even hard to beat, We're not even hard to beat. Teams didn't need to work their goals against us.
Can I say something, right? And this really pisses me off when managers go into clubs, right? They'll say what they want, what they think the fans want to hear. Lee Johnson goes on, I like aggressive pressing games. When have we ever pressed anyone this season effectively? Because see when teams are attacking us, we can't defend, and when other teams are in possession, we let them have it. So where's this pressing game coming from?
Last time we tried to press,
is it just a buzzword that he likes to?
Last time we tried to press was at Celtic Park. We got ripped to shreds.
I don't even think before then we even tried to press.
I think I don't know if I agree with that. I know we talk about stats and stuff. I think stats are relevant when you're looking at pressing and stuff like that because they do tell you. I think we had won the ball back the most in the opposition half at the start of the season, and you know, sort of in turnover and stuff. But again, though, I think since we got scudded at Celtic Park, the manager shat the bed. He changed. We had a real rigid way of playing it. We played 4-3-3. We got the ball high, we got it wide, and we got the ball in the box. That's what we done at the start of the season. It had us sitting 3rd or 4th. We went to Dundee. Do you know what? We went to Dundee United and played well. We did play well at Tannadice and we got beat. And then we followed it up with an absolute pumping at Celtic Park, and he shat the bed. He changed it. He changed everything.
I'm glad you mentioned putting balls in the box because that brings me on to my next point about his comments yesterday after the game about how he wants balls in the box early so the strikers know when the ball's coming in. But surely, as a striker, Your job is to anticipate / adapt to when the ball comes in the box. There isn't a time limit on putting the balls in the box.
I do think we were guilty at some points of fannying about it though, especially in the second half. Elie, I think he was enjoying how much he had Cochrane on toast at some point, knowing he couldn't touch him, and instead of doing the basic, beat him. There was one point where he beat him about 4 times. Just maybe on the second time put a ball in the box. But I agree, Greg. I mean, don't know if it was so much an issue yesterday. Campbell done a good job in getting him, but I don't think we've been slow in putting balls in the box in the last few weeks. It's been, other than this, but there's not been too many people there. But anyway, right, moving on. Famous Edinburgh Hibs. I think it's worse than it looks for us. We've got 11 games till the split. I think we won't get 3 wins. Our only chance looks to be County away, Kilmarnock at home, and Motherwell at home. But I don't think we can win all of those. I'm thinking 79 points from the 11 games. He then goes on to another point, but we'll address this one first. I don't know if it's worse than it seems. Ultimately, we've got 11 games, so you've got to play everyone once. Like, home or away, whether you think Hibs are going to win 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, I don't think it's... I'm still not sitting here scared of relegation. I'd be scared if Kevin Nisbet left. But
I'm in Portugal schools. I think where we're sitting in the league's probably a true representation of where we deserve to be. We were good in spells at the start of the season, and ultimately it's tailed off. Picked up 4 points in the last 2 league games, but I think where we land in the league is where we deserve to be. It's up to us now where we end up.
Yeah. His second point, so there's 2 points here. We desperately need John Collins as director of football, and lad, Rodrigo Acosta, as manager to turn our club around. I've spent a lot of time in South America, and Acosta is easily the best up-and-coming manager I've seen in a while. Well, I'm not going to ask any of you to speak about Acosta because we'd just be talking even more shite about even more stuff.
I would just say something about the up-and-coming aspect. We tried that with Sean Maloney, who was regarded as one of the best young coaches in Europe.
Yeah. John Collins to the football is an idea that terrifies me. And again, I don't want us to be sitting just disagreeing with everyone and everything, but John Collins' recruitment at Hibs was poor. Very poor. And I'm 99% sure he had a similar role at Livingston when John Hughes went in there, and they were both out the door within months. So I'm just unsure what qualifies John Collins for the role.
I don't think he's got the credentials at all. I think he's not. Look, he might have a lot of contacts in the game, but I just don't see what he would bring to the football club.
Do you expect that he will be a candidate, though?
No. He's not done anything near or even close to what the director of football role is and had any success. So I don't expect him to be a candidate at all.
Right, you made your thoughts clear when I asked the question. So, Harry, have you got any opposing thoughts to would John Collins be an option?
I like John Collins as a character, but we need someone, as Greg touched on there, that will actually do a job in the role. Like we can't just take a guy because he used to be manager of the club. Like that's the reason why Hibs fans want him, because he was a guy that was at the club, had a bit of success when he was managing, stayed a bit too long and lost all the success. Realistically, wouldn't it be a great appointment in my opinion?
Right, last thing. He also alienated a lot of people within that squad at one period in time, which we already have somebody that's alienating players. We could do without another one.
Right, that's a good point.
What we don't need is another person with his top off, going around showing off his body, alienating players.
Right, Big Stu, does providing they're both still on a job by then, does the losing manager on the coming Saturday lose his job? They both get saved. They both get saved by a very dull 0-0 draw.
I think Aberdeen have invested too much in Jim Goodwin. It's quite similar to Hibs, actually. The fact that they got rid of Glass when they did, I think he probably went with a bit of a payoff. And they've really backed Goodwin in the window. So I think that they have invested too much in him to sack him at this point. As for Johnson, we've made our thoughts clear.
She's just interesting. I think that makes actually answer the question first. Then I'm going to detour. Harry, winner of the weekend is Goodwin or Johnson get sacked if they lose the game.
It would confuse me if we sacked him if we lost to Aberdeen, because surely you would have just sacked him now. I don't think Goodwin from Dave Cormack, whoever is in charge of that Aberdeen, I don't think he's on a sugary peg yet, to be honest. Aberdeen are looking pretty set to finish fourth, in my opinion, which is about where they want to be.
Yeah, correct.
They'll actually be okay with that. I don't think Lee Johnson gets the weekend.
You think he's away?
I think so. I think if anyone's got any balls at the football club, he's away. If he's got any sense of personal pride about himself, he accepts defeat.
I think 7 o'clock on Monday night that ship sailed. I think that's. But I agree with Harry. I think Lee Johnson's here, regardless. By the way, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, because we know the people at this football club have a loser's mentality and like.
As for Jim Goodwin, I think he's close to losing the fan base in Aberdeen as far as, but that's purely judging on the small snips you see on social media. I'm not up to date with Aberdeen football, but
it depends what the data says. Really,
when you see Hibs and Aberdeen trying Sean Maloney and Stephen Glass, obviously both players that did have experience in Scotland, but maybe coaches with a little bit of different ideas. And then you look at how were Aberdeen successful, right? They had Derek McInnes, a manager that had sort of been round the block, knew Scottish football really, really well, and then sort of earned his badges. When did Hibs perform well? Jack Ross been in Scottish football his entire career, cut his teeth a little bit. How have Hearts done well? Robbie Nielsen failed with Cathro, Robbie Nielsen again. Can
I also just make the point that Hearts appointing Joe Savage was a big move for them. Ever since he came into the football club, they seem to have improved greatly. The recruitment seems a lot tighter.
Just thinking where I was going with this was we're talking about director of football needing to have Scottish football experience. If and when Hibs need to have appoint a next manager, does this person need to have Scottish football experience? Greg, I know you've spoke about Roy Keane, but maybe that's a different one because he's got promotions under his belt. Sunderland just managed in the Premier League, his playing career. But out with that, would you need a manager to be having a lot of experience up here?
The manager at least have some experience up here, or if not, then be guided by the director of football who has experience up here. Would be my thought process.
That's got experience in the Scottish game, realistically in the league at the moment. Who are you looking at? Maybe David Martindale. For me, I think you just need to get a winner in. I think like Sean Maloney's not got a track record since becoming coach of winning. Obviously, at Celtic, he won a fair few trophies. And then what you got? Lee Johnson, he's done nothing his whole career. Like, see the names that were like that John Dal Thomason boy or whatever his name is. He's a winner. Like the names that we've talked about from that Stephen Bradley that Ryan said he's a winner. Like Roy Keane, natural born winner. Fuck knows how many titles he's got in his career. I want someone that comes into the club with a mentality that actually shifts it. Because Lee Johnson's done nothing to fix the mentality plague that's been over Hibs for fucking decades, man.
And can I just say, people go, maybe Roy Keane's not the manager now. You can't be doing this, you can't be doing that with the players. But that's the only way you're going to fix the mentality is by bringing a strong character like that, who the players look up to, who respect, who's been there, who's done it on the domestic stage, international stage, the European competition stage.
Yeah. Right. Next question. Change of pace again. Look, we're going to wrap up soon. I'm going to summarise these last few ones, so sorry if you are in here. But Tony Swanson, can I afford to start drinking again? Tony, I mean, if you can afford it, mate, it might certainly
start a GoFundMe page.
Going to Easter Road certainly would drive you to it. Stephen Bell, this is about Johnson again and potentially relegation. Luke Cunningham sort of followed up on that. Who would you want first game of next season? If they stay up, I'll take Arbroath. And then that's sort of it on the manager stuff. And look, I really didn't want to go into that anymore. We've spent enough time on it. We sort of section here, though, we've had a few questions. There's been some murmurs today about Kevin Nisbet. Nothing in the press, all sort of from various people and Twitter accounts and, various people that trust people that have heard this, that, and the next thing, all the in the know stuff. But we've had a few questions from C. McCann. If we lose Nisbet, there'll be a huge backlash. To me, if he goes now, we don't get in a signature sign-in. We'll have 8,000 to 9,000 season ticket holders, possibly less. Chris Bell, if we sell Nisbet, surely we're going to get relegated. And Dan Taylor, if the rumours around Nisbet are true, then what time will you be attending the protest? We cannot sell Kevin Nisbet this window. It's that simple.
I'll be doing there like Gaza with a bag of cans, a couple of chicken pieces, and a fishing rod.
But we cannot sell him, regardless, right? And to be,
I was just going to say, I'll be honest with you. If he wants to leave in this window, then nobody can hold that against him. I would not blame him for 1 minute for wanting to get away from a club that has a kind of toxic feel around it at the minute. There's such a disconnect between the fans and the club, and ultimately the players are caught somewhere in the middle of that. So you could not blame him for wanting out.
the only thing that I won't blame the club for now is Kevin Nisbet's contract situation, by the way. I don't think that there is a single fan that potentially even in, let's say, December 1st was screaming at the club to give Kevin Nisbet a new deal. There wasn't any fans, probably with his run of form up to when he got injured, screaming at the club to give him a new deal. And then just the final, well, ultimately he's hit red hot form, and unfortunately that's his contract situation. I also don't foresee him signing a new deal. He'd been here 6 months and was making moves via his agent, if you believe that, to move to Birmingham, was it?
Yep.
In COVID. He didn't hang about at Rafe, he didn't hang about at Dunfermline, so I don't expect him to hang about here. Really. Harry, what's your thoughts on Nisbet?
He's, as I've said before, I think that even whilst he was injured, he should have been given a major contract and treated like he is one of the best players at the club, because regardless of whether he had an injury or not, he is. He's an international caliber player, and we're, like, if we've got the same board come summer, I wouldn't be surprised if we've got a Porteous situation on our hands. But these guys will probably try and cash in at a subpar cost. Kevin is a fantastic player, and it hurts my heart that he's probably going to leave for not very much this window. I just don't trust people in charge to make good decisions about our club at the moment. I think Kevin Nisbet's going to be a casualty of that.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just touch on something there? We've been in this situation before when Scott Allen was suffering with health problems. He was also kind of cast aside, and he wasn't supported by the club in terms of a longer term contract when he had a lot of uncertainty surrounding him. So we've got form for it.
Yeah. There's plenty going to be said there. But final question, this could be an interesting one. Noah Kenna has obviously left the club on loan, and it's come in. I don't know who the question's come in from. Sorry, Harry, you've not put a name here, but can we have a deep dive into Kenna LG fallout, please? What happened? Is he just a fall guy so that we could bring in Jago? A bit wild considering the hype around him when he signed and regular club PR spin on him since, like, sort of his stats, etc. He says, how are we going to develop any young players if we can't accept inconsistency in their performance and ship them out to get others in? Can we ever find the balance between experience and youth that's served us well in the past? Or are we going to keep them sitting on the sidelines up ultimately? Look, we can't go into anything with this Kenna and Johnson fallout. For anyone that's listening, I think there was some rumours, or was it a picture circulating? Someone looked like they'd taken a picture of Lee Johnson's phone where Noah Kenna's apologising for kicking off at training. But fuck knows. And it's this, I'd imagine people are kicking off at training all the time up and down the country. But
well, it should be.
Let's be clear, that's passion. That's absolutely what you want, because that means they're all striving for better. You know, I've absolutely no problems with that. If there is passion there, let them show it. Have your blowout, and it's left on the pitch, it's left on the training field.
Yeah, look, apologies.
Boys kick off at match training. Like, why not? You know, you want to win games, you want to be doing well. So why would you not kick off? I absolutely don't mind that at all.
Yeah. So let's say, sorry, whoever's question this is. I do think we've covered the youth stuff as well. So let's just wrap up on the transfer window side of things, maybe before a score prediction for the Aberdeen game. Melkerson has moved on since we were last in, on loan to Sparta Rotterdam with a potential option to buy a seven-figure sum, and obviously Diego came in. This week we need one centre back, and then probably the following couple of days we need another centre back, and we need at least one this week. But Harry, do we now need a striker?
If Nisbet's going, then yeah, but
No, just
The
been
thing is,
Melkerson. You know, like you seen yesterday, you had McCurdy on the bench, and that was it.
I still think you've got Laidlaw on the bench as well. Relax.
Sorry, I just forgot about that.
See,
I
the
was
thing
poking
is,
at them.
see, the thing is, it annoys me. Like Ollie Shaw is an example of a player that could have been something really good if we treated him right. I think that if we were to put the likes of Ethan Laidlaw or Josh O'Connor into the team, but protected their time and didn't make them the focal point of the team, but still incorporated them within squads and actually gave them game time and starts, I don't think that would be a bad thing for their development. I think that the problem with Ollie Shaw is he came in, had a good performance, and then we made him the bloody starting striker of the team, which is far too much pressure for a youngster. I think that it's at the time now where the first team squad aren't good enough. You need to start playing the youngsters. Like they're playing at a good standard, even though it is other younger players that they're playing. They're playing at the best standard they can play at in Europe. Like these guys have got a bit about them. They need to start getting a chance in the first team. But yeah, no, I don't think a striker's a priority because we've got like centre back's priority, centre back number 2 is a priority, centre back number 3 is a priority. That is genuinely my top 3 priorities for the rest of the window.
I'll go centre back, left back. I'll go that way.
I'll agree with you.
I'd say that as well.
Right. What are we expecting on Saturday? Hibs host Aberdeen. It is, for all the kick and fucking moaning we've done tonight, so it is another massive game in the scheme of things. If you win, you go above Aberdeen, I believe, on points. I think they're 2 points ahead of us just now. Obviously, you get beat 5 points, and I think they have a game in hand. Ryan, do you think Hibs will get back to winning ways? Third home game in a row. We're unbeaten in 2 league games.
Yeah, I'm just going to say what I think and what I want are probably two totally different things. So I'm just going to hope for the best and say 1-0 Hibs.
Harry?
I reckon Aberdeen will get a contentious red card at about 25 minutes and we'll win 3-0. It'll be a shit performance, but we'll beat 10 men because that's all Johnson can do.
You subscribe to the narrative that everyone else was.
Finally came round, boys. Finally came round.
Greg?
Well, Huff and Puff to a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, I gave my score prediction earlier on during the middle of the podcast. It's 0-0 or 1-1 for me. I think 2 teams that are going to be low in confidence. Aberdeen are playing just now. Is it a 7 o'clock kickoff, 8 o'clock kickoff?
Yeah, it was 7:45.
Right, so we'll see how they go tonight against Darvel. Hopefully they get fucking scudded out the cup.
It'll be an easy tie. Like Darvel will be physical, man. They'll be all over him like a rash. Like it's the difference in levels, maybe.
Everything that Hibs won't be.
See when it comes to effort in those kind of games, man, they will be all over them. But you're right, Greg. They'll be the complete opposite of Hibs.
Right, look, I'm sure we'll get pelters for this. Another depressing episode, but we can only say it as we see it. And unfortunately, right now, there's not a whole lot of optimism around the place. I hope we answered everyone's questions well. We'll be back next week.
If you don't mind, Ewan, just before we fully wrap up, I'd like a mini tangent because nobody's listening at this point anyway. I just want to say sorry for being a moany prick on the last couple of weeks. It's not very often I feel dejected with Hibs, but I genuinely feel a massive disconnect with the club. The people that are in charge don't seem like they're pulling in the same direction with the rest of the fans. As at times inept Rod Petrie was, I always felt that he had passion for the club. I feel that we've got a lot of people at the club at the moment that don't care, and that really fucks me off, and that's the reason I think that I'm getting as fucked off as I am. And that's my main gripe with Lee Johnson. I think he sits there during games, doesn't change it because he doesn't want to change it, because the boy, he signed because he thought, you know what, if things go wrong, I'm just going to wait until they sack me, I'll get my payoff. I hate people taking a job where they don't give a fuck about it and other people suffer. So yeah, I just wanted to get it off my chest. So yeah, fuck Lee Johnson,
Not
get
a
him to
problem
fuck
here,
him on the
Harry.
Hibs.
Not a problem here, son.
Feeling better.
Ah, wee bit. That was good to get off the chest,
Do you know? I was having a think to myself, right? See if you're 21, right? You're 21, 22, and let's say you started going to Hibs games regularly when you were 10, 12, 13. My maths roughly makes that championship-ish, start of championship, maybe relegation season. So I've never quite subscribed to this, never felt such a big disconnect with Hibs and stuff. But there is now a generation of fans, maybe below us, that have had things pretty good, would you say, with the cup win and then getting promoted. And so I think the club are at risk of really pissing that element of the sport off. And look, it's probably, I don't know, the demographic and all that, but it's probably a good chunk, like a lot. At that stage, you want to be engaging that area of people maybe before they have families, before they have other priorities and all that. People that can go to games home and away every week. And there was a real opportunity post-COVID. Everyone missed football, and the last 18 months have just been shit. Ultimately, that's where we're at. But yeah, we can only say what we see, unfortunately. And hopefully everyone that listens appreciates that. But we'll be back next week regardless to talk more complete and utter shite. And hopefully everyone takes what we say with face value. Let us know what you think though on Twitter and any other social media stuff. Cheers.
Bye.